Hello everybody and welcome to the Shut Up and Sit Down review of Pandemic Legacy Season 2! If you've not heard of Pandemic Legacy, oh boy, allow me to make your life ill. By which I mean cool and sickly. The original 2008 game of Pandemic is a masterpiece of board game design where 2 to 4 players work together to stop 4 deadly diseases before they gobble up humanity like so much underdone barbecue. We think it remains one of the best games you can use to get people into board gaming, being simple, clever, dramatic, cheap, and you can extend its lifespan with all sorts of awesome expansions. And then, 2 years ago, Pandemic Legacy was released, and I called it my game of 2015. Essentially, Pandemic designed by Willy Wonka, this was a box of surprises and secrets and stickers, where each game was just 1 month in a year-long story that had moments so exciting that you couldn't believe what was happening. Some people complained about only being able to play this game across 12 wild nights, and then you had to guiltily slip it into the bin. But the designers have since stated that their goal wasn't to make a game you could only play 12 times, but to make something you would actually play 12 times. This week, at long last, Pandemic Legacy Season 2 went on sale. A continuation of what's fast becoming a saga, this game can be played if you haven't bought Season 1, but it does continue the story, and more excitingly, it's a heavier, more expensive box than Season 1, literally weighed down with secrets. And with far more creative art design from Arthur Kanai and the fabulous Chris Quilliams. And I've got to say, if they included these character designs just so I'd dress up that way for the review, well, they've succeeded, haven't they? 2 points of business before we kick this mother off. First off, if you're not really familiar with Pandemic or how legacy games work, go and watch our review of Season 1 first, because for this review, we're just going to focus on what's different, what's changed, what we think of that. And second off, there will be absolutely no spoilers in this review. While I have finished Pandemic Legacy Season 2, this is what my copy looks like. It's not really usable, so instead, today, I'm showing you Matt's mint condition copy. And initially, there's actually not much to see except an actual C. You see, Pandemic Legacy Season 2 puts the C into season and the C legs into legacy. The story of Season 2 takes place 71 years after the events of Season 1. And while you're still playing disease control specialists, you're operating out of floating havens. Since there's not much of a board to look at for this review, I've got something special for you. Please enjoy this replica reference pair. Can you believe they had reference pairs in shops on every street corner before the fall of humankind? Really makes you think. In what will be good news for anyone who isn't excited about the idea of playing Pandemic again, the game here is even more different than it looks. Rather than usually in Pandemic when diseases appear and you rush over there and scrub them from the map before a chain outbreak can occur, in this game the disease is incurable, and it's all about distributing preventative supplies. In Season 2, players are going to be meeting up on the map not just to trade cards, but also to pass pallets of supplies to one another. And this is a delicate logistical challenge because the number of supplies you have is limited. So if you've got 5 cubes gathering dust in Sao Paulo, or your friend Billy has got 3 cubes in his inventory, just in case, the rest of the map is going to feel the pinch. Except then, obviously, what's going to happen is you'll go to Sao Paulo, you'll take those cubes away, you'll leave, and then you'll flip an epidemic card, and then you'll take the bottom card from the deck, and it's Sao Paulo. Of course it is, because this is still Pandemic. Did you miss me? The game asks you. Yes, Pandemic, I did miss you, but now 800 people are dead. You're still trying to remember cities that are in the infection deck and preempt them, acting before they come up again, and you're still trying to collect coloured sets of cities. In this case, not so you can cure the disease, but so you can put new supply centres on the board that will ultimately win you each game. And this feels fresh, like a whiff of salty sea air. And without wanting to spoil anything, by April, you just get new mechanic after new mechanic, as if you're riding a speedboat across this ocean, being kept awake by whips of salty salt sea water. A lot of these new mechanics relate to the triple threat that you are facing. These supplies that you're relying on are dwindling every single month, and by December, they'll be gone. A sinister group known as the Hollow Men tear down your supply centres as fast as you can build them, and you're not sure why. And worst of all, the leadership, your bosses, have gone off to a leadership summit and not been seen since. Facing a plague, an enemy, and a worse grip on global geography than an 8-year-old or an American, Season 2 is a globe-trotting quest for answers. And predictably, as you can tell from these enormous spaces that say Recon, so much of the game is about rebuilding this world, putting huge stickers out and connecting cities to your grid. Altogether, it is lots of fun for exactly the same reasons that Season 1 was. It's fun to discuss actions that might have ramifications for the rest of the campaign. It's fun to build up a cool character and put stickers on them when that character can die. And it's fun to open boxes, and they're only small, so it's like, this is only a little present, it's not going to be good. Oh my god, it's really cool! If you've played co-op games before, you'll know how much camaraderie they can build. Well, when you're playing a whole ready campaign, that camaraderie is magnified. You're saving the damn world together! And I don't know if I can hide it any longer. I liked Season 2 of Pandemic Legacy a lot less than Season 1. I like to think as a reviewer, I left scores behind long ago, but Season 1 I felt was a rare 10 out of 10 game. Season 2 started off as a 9, quickly became an 8, and every so often I felt a game would dip even lower than that. So for the rest of this review, I'm going to do something a bit unpalatable. I'm going to talk about why I think it works less well, but like I say, it's still a 9 or 8, you know? It's still getting the Shut Up and Sit Down Recommends badge. I still think anyone can enjoy it, and if you want to buy it, then you can still do so with the swagger of a born capitalist. But yeah, okay, let's talk. My disappointment might be hard to imagine shy of these packages being full of actual medical waste, but honestly, my problems are quite simple to explain, and they're all foundational. Here comes the science. And by science, I mean some stuff I just invented. You see, your first game in Season 1 was just Pandemic, which is already a game buckling under the weight of the awards it's been handed, one so finely balanced that it enjoys a world championship each year. So everything that surprised you in Season 1, down to the tiniest sticker, had players putting a hand to their face and muttering, ooh, as they have to cautiously re-examine this brilliant puzzle. Pandemic Legacy Season 2, this tiny map is not being released as Pandemic Pocket anytime soon. It's not great. And the rules, I'm sure the designers would admit, are kind of different for the sake of being different. Instead, the appeal in Season 2 is you are gradually exploring and building the board, right? You are in a sort of rising tide of components, gradually pouring ideas and places and cities onto this map until it starts to resemble something truly as complicated as Season 1. But there are so many legacy components in this game, all right? And for that reason, I think some people are going to like it even more than Season 1. And maybe that person is you. You know, there's always some new panel to open. There's always a new sticker to put on the board. There's always some card where you can scratch off what's on it with a penny and find out what's underneath. All of which is lovely stuff. This game changes 3 times as much in a given game than Season 1. It's literally a box of lovely stuff. Now, for the first few months of this campaign, I was completely charmed by this. I'm sure everyone will be. We're putting huge stickers on the board. Anything could be out there. But something happened around February, March, and only got worse throughout the year, where the game started to feel unbalanced. Of course it was. A game is more than just stuff. A game is intricately balancing that stuff. And the designers of Season 2 can't balance their game because they don't even know how big the player's board is going to be on a given month. They don't know what cards are in the deck or what kind of preparation players will have made, what attitude players are going into the game with. And that's, though, at best, a side effect of this was that sometimes it would get around to a player's turn and the move would be kind of obvious. At worst, we had whole games of Season 2 where there just wasn't much tension because the game was too easy. And the doomsday side effect of that is that as we were putting stickers on the board, I didn't care half as much because I wasn't in a deadly battle for survival. We kind of had it sorted. I was still having fun, but I was playing to open the next packet as opposed to playing, and then sometimes these cool packets would open. And that also was basically okay, right up until July, when we were halfway through the campaign and we'd opened most of the boxes because that's what we were playing to try and do. And then, finally, faced with the prospect of just playing Pandemic Legacy Season 2, well, we weren't that excited by it. But there's another foundational element that Season 1 had going for it that I hadn't even thought of until I was halfway through Season 2, which goes to show just how complicated making board games is, which is that Season 1's story was set today. Thinking back, there was barely any writing in Season 1, and the plot was, in hindsight, alternately threadbare and trite. But what saved it was the mental imagery available to its players. Whether you're quarantining New York or weighing up the option of letting Africa collapse, this was evocative stuff. On the other hand, I very quickly cooled on Season 2's day after tomorrow setting, despite the fact that it looks so cool I literally cosplayed as it, because in play, it's really foggy. I don't want to sound glib here, but the plot is literally that your bosses haven't shown up for work, and that's sometimes what it feels like. When I changed the population of uncertain future London place from 3 to 2, which is surviving to struggling, I have no feeling about that. I don't even know if that's technically my responsibility. And while the manual heavily implies you should be connecting cities to your grid, the population of cities only starts going down once it's connected to your disease network. So that doesn't seem like an ethical thing to do.
I'm from the Havens. You know, you might have heard of us floating, oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, no, I'm not gonna sneeze. We're a bunch of doctors, and we save people. That's it! Oh, that was a big one. Anyway, so now we're here. You're gonna be getting supplies, which make sure that you can, I don't have any right now, but I'll be back. So, yeah, anyway, good to meet you. And I'll see ya. I'll be seeing ya, and I'll be saving ya. Bye!
What I'm saying is that Season 1 was able to use shorthand. It could use entirely short snippets of text, and I knew what it meant. In Season 2, I finished it, and I still don't recognize this world. I still don't know anything about it. I still don't have feelings for it. And so exactly how I didn't care about changing this game, because the game was too easy anyway. I wasn't invested in beating it. I don't care about changing this world because I don't know this world. I think like everyone else, I assumed that when it came to Legacy, bigger would be better. And that's as untrue as it is in the rest of board games. And the thing I keep thinking about is that, you know, there are so many character stickers to put on your character in Season 2. But it's not about that. It's about having one good sticker. And the example of that is in Season 1. They had the relationship stickers, right? Do you remember that? 2 players around the table would be spouses, or 2 other players would be siblings. And that one sticker changed the tenor of the whole campaign. I didn't know who my character was at the end of Season 2, and no amount of stickers would change that. He did just one really, really good one, and I didn't get it. I'm aware that at this point, I've been basically sweating negativity for 10 minutes for what I said is a game that's like an 8 or 9 that I enjoyed a lot. But all I'd say is that when you buy it, just lower your expectations a little bit so you don't, like me, spend March through December going, why isn't this making me feel like the other one did? Why isn't this making me feel like I'm young again? Because maybe it can't. You know what I say defines Season 1 for me is, and people who've played it will know this, those moments where they introduce a mechanic and players go, maybe this happened at your group, players go, we can't do this because we're doctors. Even though it would help the game, we cannot do this. It was players caring so much they didn't even play the game, or they were inventing their own rules. Season 2 had the opposite for me. It had players going, I want to do this mechanic because it's fun, even though it was not an efficient play. Suffice to say, my conclusion is that you can buy Season 2, but buy Season 1 first. Not just because it's where the story begins, not just because I think it's better, but also because it's about $20 cheaper. But here's the wacky thing. I might be viewing Season 1 through rose-tinted Mad Max goggles, because here's the weird thing about Legacy games. I can't go back and check how good Season 1 is. I'm stuck remembering, and that means that poor Rob Davio and Matt Leacock are going to have me comparing their future designs to how good I remember the first one being. That's like purgatory for designers.
Quinns, are you finished with my copy of the game yet? Gonna have it back now?
Well, I mean, I might need to film B-roll. I might need to film close-ups, so you should probably wait till I'm done with the edit.
When will that be?
tomorrow.
Okay. Can I have another wine gum?
Yes.
Thank you.